Battle Line podcast. Hope you guys all enjoyed your Halloween. We're recording this before Halloween, but it'll be November 1st when you're hearing this. I am enjoying my Halloween week.
I am too. It's starting to get cold. The season's changing here. I don't know if they are changing up where you're at.
Yeah.
But
that's why I got my jacket.
Oh, you got your jacket. Yeah, but it's still nice. I like seeing the leaves change and honestly, you could tell the difference from where we used to live, even though we're only 4 hours south of where we used to live. There's the bite in the air that we used to have in Nebraska isn't down where we're at. And we're in Kansas, but we're more southeast Kansas. So towards the bottom of Kansas. And it's nice. I like not having that extra chill that you get when you get up in Nebraska, South Dakota, North Dakota, Minnesota. It's weird, but you can feel that chill. And I don't know, it probably just comes from Canada coming on in, but I really haven't felt it here. And I don't think we're going to like we used to. So I'm going to enjoy a little bit warmer winter. Granted, it's not Florida winter, but
no,
hey, yeah, beggars can't be choosers.
No, I know what you mean. I lived on Long Beach, not Long Beach, California, of course. Yeah. I lived on Long Beach, Long Island for a month, and I had that same issue because it's like you go to Long Beach here in the summer and you're like, man, this would be an awesome town to live in. You're right by the beach. This is great. But then the winter months come and
cold.
right when you walk outside your house, you were like smacked in the face from the wind. It is not like living by the beach in Florida or California.
No, I used to handle flood claims out in Long Beach.
Wow.
Yeah. And
they got hit hard with that hurricane years ago. So
yeah, they did. They got hit with Sandy was a big when they hit. And then even before that, I work guys. If you ever watch the movie where there's an argument between me and Bob, and he says, we'll be happy going back to being an insurance adjuster. That's actually true. I am an insurance adjuster. That wasn't a movie magic. And actually I'm still certified flood insurance with FEMA. I'm still a certified adjuster, but getting out there and those hurricanes come in and they do all that damage during hurricane season, but there's so many claims that some of them you don't even get to till November or December. And I remember getting to a claim there, and it had been early, they've been waiting patiently. There's only so many insurance adjusters out there, flood certified. And yeah, I went there in November. It was, sorry, but excuse my French, but it was fucking cold. And I did not enjoy it out there at all.
and if you went during the summer, you'd be like, this is such an awesome town, because it really is. But before we get into everything, of course, Battle Line Podcast, we interview different people in the special operations community. Although the past few weeks, just by chance, not a whole lot of Spec Ops guys. And for this episode, we are back to having a great Spec Ops guy on, Dale Sizemore. And before we get into our discussion, before we get to him, of course, this episode is brought to you by our good friends at Bubs Naturals. Really the only brand out there doing collagen protein, collagen peptides that is not only non-GMO grass-fed, but also single ingredient, and actually the only collagen protein out there that's single source, meaning they're not blending with all different types of other things. They're getting it from those grass-fed cows, that they use, grass-fed cowhide from a single source. We were just talking about the colder weather. You know what I've been doing is I picked up some hot chocolate from the grocery store, and I've been blending together my hot chocolate with Bubs Naturals and getting, my protein that way. And
so I do it. You're not a big coffee drinker. I am, so I have it in my coffee.
I'm iced coffee.
Iced coffee. See, and I do hot coffee every morning, and I have the MCT oil and then the collagen protein, and it's outstanding, guys. I'm telling you, this stuff is fantastic. The apple cider gummies. They actually taste good. And that's hard to find those, the apple cider where you don't have that cider. They taste fantastic. And then also the Fountain of Youth is amazing. The Fountain of Youth formula, and you can mix that right up with milk, and it doesn't need to be hot. It can just be milk, and it turns into like a little grape, almost like a grape drink, a grape milk shake. And guys, it's tremendous, and they really have done benefit. They really have benefited my life, and I've got my muscle tone back. I'm growing my fingernails again. My hair. I'm 50, and I'm cross my heart here, cross my fingers. No gray hair except in my little beard, but that's just how it is. But and my hair's growing, so Bubs Naturals it's been fantastic. I think it's the best collagen protein out there, and it's only protein for those that suffer from inflammatory bowel disease that that I think we can take. That's the only one I could ever have taken that doesn't hurt or inflame my bowels. And that's Bubs Natural. So if you have IBD or colitis or Crohn's, give it a try. It actually has worked. And I think it's actually done some wonders rebuilding a little bit of my GI tract, which that's what it's supposed to, it helps with the GI gastrointestinal health is what the MCT oil does. And so does the collagen. And all I know is I've seen a huge difference in my lifestyle and also my workouts after taking Bubs now for the last year. It's been fantastic.
Yeah. Absolutely. So check them out, guys. And of course, they also give back to the Glenn Doherty Memorial Foundation with every purchase. And that's a great charity, great organization. So bubsnaturals.com, promo code BattleLine, and you're going to get 20% off. I know that you could find Bubs all over now, but the only way you're going to get 20% off is through their website with us, bubsnaturals.com, promo code BattleLine. And of course, this episode is brought to you by Fort Scott Munitions. Fort Scott is a manufacturer of multi-federal patented solid copper and brass CNC spun ammunition. It's designed to tumble upon impact in soft tissue, leaving devastating wound channels for faster bleed out and quicker incapacitation. This ammunition was originally developed to innovate and improve on the standard of military-grade ammunition design. It was found that not only did the TUI ammunition outperform competitors in the self-defense industry, but it quickly became apparent that it would be a top contender for hunters alike. With the ammunition being CNC spun, the tolerances are some of the tightest on the market, ensuring that you receive the same results with each pull of the trigger. Fort Scott Munitions is available throughout privately owned businesses in all 50 states. Just go to the dealer locator on the website, fortscottmunitions.com. And when they do have those deals on ammo, as well as their great merchandise, you'll get 15% off when you use the promo code BattleLine, which is right there in the description. That's exclusive to listeners of this podcast. fortscottmunitions.com, promo code BattleLine. Fort Scott Munitions is a proud supporter of Chris Peranto, BattleLine Tactical, and the BattleLine podcast.
From Omaha, Nebraska to New York City, from planet Earth to extraterrestrial life in space, a podcast with no equal, engaged in unconventional warfare through your speakers and headphones. This is a show about embracing the suck, conquering your demons, and finding God in the face of adversity. Chris Tonto Peranto.
Twitch is on. Motherfucker, I'm going to shoot you in the face.
Ian Scotto.
Ian and I have been dating for a long time.
You are now tuned into the BattleLine podcast.
The switch is on, BattleLine podcast, and hopefully I'm because I know we were before. I'm not cutting out or anything. I'm good.
No, you're good now. No, it's just
cool.
It's just one of those things. When you're on your cell phone and you have 5 bars, and then all of a sudden it just goes like you're going through Chinese takeout and you can't hear the.
Yep.
Sorry, that's a reference to another movie. What was it? Oh, dude, who stole my car?
Oh yeah, dude, where's my car?
Dude, where's my car? Yeah, but yeah, no, you sound great. You sound fantastic there, big bad Barry White with your smooth sexual chocolate voice you got going on there. Awesome. No, you sound great, man. Yep.
Okay, great. Well, as I said earlier, we have Dale Sizemore coming on, but I was thinking, the big news of this week, the really tragic news that I really wanted your take on, honestly, was the Alec Baldwin on-set shooting. And the reason that I felt like it'd be valuable to get your take in particular is, of course, everybody has their opinion on this stuff.
Sure.
But I think you come from a pretty unique perspective in that you are a shooting instructor. You've served in combat. I have no problem saying, I know we had that discussion about what a subject matter expert is.
Yeah.
You put your 10,000 plus hours in with guns. Yeah. And you were on the set of a movie that involved guns.
That had a lot of guns. Yeah, a lot of guns,
yes.
a lot of fire, a lot of explosives. Michael Bay Spectacular, which again, that was just, I wish we could get him one of these days. But I don't know how good of it, bro. I don't think we rate that much. I mean, I don't think he'd even go on Joe Rogan. I don't think Michael Bay even cares. He's like, I don't give a shit. I'm Michael Bay. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, because it's like, it's one of those things where I feel like he doesn't need the promotion. Any movie he does is going to be great. But yeah, no, I just wonder, when you heard about this, did you say to yourself, how the hell did this happen?
because after, back when Brandon Lee died on the set of The Crow, I thought, and I don't stay up on it, but I thought that you couldn't use, they all had to be prop guns. Hollywood made a law, or made a rule, regulation law. Hollywood making a law, please God forbid that ever happens. But a regulation within their industry that every gun that they used had to be prop or fake. It could, and as guns have gotten real, airsoft guns look just as real as, I'll be honest, just as real as real guns nowadays. So back
or 3D printed guns.
Yeah, exactly.
You could probably make a 3D printed prop gun, I would assume.
Perfect. And on our set, guys, the guns were rubber. They were called rubber ducks. They weren't even real guns. And you put all that in the special effects. And that's how awesome Michael Bay is. I mean, holy shit. Yeah. These guys are just pretending to shoot with a plastic, we call it rubber gun, big plastic gun. And it looks so real, even with the bolts moving and things.
And by the way, I would think, which takes some pressure off the actors, because when you're using a real gun, this is not a toy, and you do have to worry about trigger discipline and how you're pointing things. And when you have what you know is a rubber gun, you could be careless, you could be reckless.
But you still have to, you still have to play the role of the guys. Get your finger off the trigger until you're ready to fire, and those sort of things, or else the veteran community sees the movie and they're like, shit, this sucks. Yeah. Get out. But I thought the Mark 46 that we had out there, the machine gun was kind of real. It just had the bolt pearl. So basically the bolt was pulled out with the firing pins. So I just couldn't, there's a real gun on set. I thought that wasn't allowed, first of all, when I saw that. But then when I did, it's like, okay, we'll get past that. And then get past the politics of it. Because of course, liberal, dude, somebody died. I don't give a shit who he is. Liberal.
Yeah, I agree. I know people are going to jump on that. And a lot of people don't like Alec Baldwin in the gun community because the guy's been vehemently anti-gun. But the truth is, I would never feel okay jumping on the guy, regardless of how people feel about his politics, because he pulled the trigger and he killed someone. Well, he's going to live with that for the rest of his life.
I do believe in karma too. I believe I've been affected by karma myself. So, but getting aside from all that, I believe whether Alec Baldwin, I don't give a shit if it was meant to be with him or not. The bottom line is, if you just take the black and white, careless. Whenever you're giving a gun, whether it's real or whether you think it's real or somebody said it's not, you still check the gun. That's part of fundamentals. That's part of rules safety. When you come to a basic handgun course, battle line, or even an advanced handgun course, if you're handed a firearm and the slide's not open and you can't look down where the basically the ejection port on a pistol, you can't look down and see that there's no bullet in the chamber, you clear it. I just went in, actually shot with the Pittsburgh, Kansas emergency response team, their SWAT team, a few days ago, and their lead instructor handed me his Glock, and he said it was safe, but it was just a habit. I mean, I didn't even think about it. I just checked it. Yeah. Okay, it is. You're good. Whenever you're giving a gun, you always assume it's loaded. You have to. That's part of being safety. That's not paranoid. And what I say is not even Alec Baldwin, is who were the military or the firearms consultants on the movie? And if there wasn't any, why wasn't any when there's guns? When 13 Hours was made, Harry Humphreys, who pretty much is the go-to guy for military technical advising. I think he's probably going to retire soon. I mean, he started back on The Rock, and I think he even had a little bit to do with Black Hawk Down. I'll have to ask Dale. But he was there with his guys, and he had 4 guys there that were former SEALs that were checking, making sure everything was good to go. And, we were there as well. So there was a lot of checks and balances, a lot of making sure that there was no accidents going on that set. So honestly, I don't know. Maybe the set is obviously it wasn't a Michael Bay. We need to make sure everybody's safe set. And believe me, Michael Bay is a particular, when I was watching, he's a stickler for getting things done correctly, but also safely. And something was wrong on that set, and they got lackadaisical. And you can't get lackadaisical around firearms. Obviously, you see what happens. But you don't have to be always nervous and stressed out. And that's where I think a good military or a good firearms advisor or a military consultant on set would help remedy that. And I guess they didn't have one. I don't think they did. And if they did, he wasn't very good. Because
from what I read, the person who was in charge of firearms, and this is just from what I'm reading,
sure.
You know, I see things online. The person who was in charge of firearms, or the firearm on the set, seems like it was someone who had literally like no experience with firearms.
And that is the wrong attitude to take with firearms. And that is why there are actions with firearms. And that is why people that shouldn't be around firearms or shouldn't hold firearms or have not had the experience on them, when you hand them something, the possibility of something going wrong, of course, increases. I think that's with anything. I mean, if you hand a 3-year-old the car keys to go drive your truck that's never driven a truck before, he's probably going to wreck it. Well, you hand somebody a gun that's never used a gun before, that knows nothing about it, knows nothing about the safety rules that everybody in the community knows. They're basic safety rules. Assume every gun's loaded when it's handed to you. Make sure it's not. This is what happens. So Hollywood, I know you don't like some of us gun guys out there, but a lot of us still respect you, and I respect a lot of people that I worked around on 13-hour set, from the 3 Arts Entertainment and so forth. Richard Abate, Erwin Stoff, tremendous guys, even though our politics don't align at all. Who gives? I don't give a shit. They're tremendous guys, and They did great things for us. They need to really come and find people like. It doesn't need to be bad. This isn't a pitch for Battle Eye, guys, but
sure,
get people on set that know what the hell they're doing. And there's plenty to choose from, especially out there in California. You got Camp Pendleton down the road, and you got SEALs and Marines all over the place. You got Rangers up north, and you got just Army guys, MPs. I mean, everybody. It doesn't have to be special ops guy. Anybody that's handled firearms, MP, security forces in the Air Force. But bottom line is just for a lesson here, or to learn anything, if you are new to the firearms community, or you have a gun, or you don't handle a gun as much, but you have one in the house for protection, you always need to know the status of that weapon system. Always. And even in my house, I will constantly, I don't say constantly, but I will check my gun to ensure I have a round in the chamber. Or if I don't, because I have kids in my house, I'll make sure it's locked up if it needs to be locked up, or it's set up high enough that they can't get to it. But even then, I still want to make sure if it's loaded. I'll double check it. And it's not paranoia. But do that if you're ever handed a gun. Always, always, always ensure that it's unloaded, doesn't have a round in the chamber. Make sure that weapon's on safe. You always want to be 3 steps away from a fatal accident. 3 steps away. What does that mean? Gun's on safe, fingers off the trigger, muzzle's pointed in a safe direction. And lastly, you can even add that 4th. If you're handed a gun, ensure it's empty. But even if it's empty, you still want to be 3 steps away from a fatal accident. And that's how we teach out there. And then when you are shooting, if you violate one of those steps, you're still 2 steps away from a fatal accident. You never want to get to that 1 step. But they violated it from the get-go when they were handed the gun. Yeah. So, and it's just common sense stuff, man. You're handed something that it may be a prop, but I don't see how it could be a prop.
Yeah, that's the other thing I wanted to ask you, and before we get to Dale, the really 2 things are, for one, would you say there's any good reason at all to have a real gun in a movie? No. And then the other thing is there a such thing, because people are asking this, as a prop gun that could take real rounds?
Now we'll get this. We're getting now into the media side of the house, where the media spins that both you and I hate. No, there's no fucking way. It's not. If it shot a real bullet, it's not a prop gun. That's my opinion. That's me going, horse shit, media. All right, here you go, protecting people again. Got to spin it. I know us hayseeds out in Kansas don't know shit about guns. If it's a prop, it shouldn't be able to shoot around. That's why it's a prop gun. And do you need one? From one of the greatest, and I'm not tooting my own horn here, I do think 13 Hours is one of the greatest war movies ever made, just because of how real it really got people's personalities, and even the firefights with night vision, because that's what it looks like. It does. And the fires and everything was real except for the mortars. The mortars were digitized in, and then the shooting, the ballistics. But knowing, after watching that and seeing that we used all rubber duck guns except for the 46, which didn't have a firing. I didn't have the bolt in there, so it couldn't fire because it didn't have a firing pin in there. And watching how awesome it looked and how real it looked. Yeah. Why do you need a gun on a movie set? You don't. And I can ask you. I mean, I haven't really followed it except for what people sent me on social media. That they wanted me to get in they wanted me to be political, and I stayed away from it. But did it ever come about that? Did he have now I'm getting into the investigator mode. Did he have a grudge against this person? Do people think that, or and I'm not going to conspiracy theorists, but what have you read? Because to me, it's like, man, prop guns don't shoot bullets. There's a real gun on set. From my understanding, back in the day, you couldn't have real guns on set. When we were on 13 Hours, which had tons of guns, none of them were real on set, not even the pistols. Did he want to kill that? I mean, was this are they looking like a homicide, man? Has that word been thrown out there?
I don't think so. I've definitely seen conspiracy stuff. But at least from what I've read, and look, I haven't done like a thorough investigation. Sure. I've read the same thing probably you guys listening have read. It seems like this was just everything about it was careless. It seems like the person in charge of the gun knew nothing. I mean, it would be like having someone less experienced with firearms than me in charge of real guns on a set. And if someone offered me that job, I would say, I'm not experienced enough to do that job. You need to have someone who's extremely experienced if you're using real weapons. And then also, as you said, why are you using real weapons? And you're asking that yourself as someone who was on a set that was a movie very heavy in weapons, and anybody watching the movie thought those were real weapons. They look perfect. Yeah, but with that, we do have to get to Dale, but we have some great sponsors who are keeping us going and doing this show. And some that we haven't heard from in a little while, but we still are always pushing their stuff. And first being Thadia. If you're looking for an inspirational apparel brand that provides enhanced tech quality, then Thadia is the brand for you. Thadia was created to represent the everyday hero and to inspire individuals to personify their courage and bravery. From the heroic individuals who protect us, to the athlete, and they have different athletes there, to the everyday individual, Thadia represents the courage and bravery within each and every one of us. Check out Thadia on Instagram at Thadia_co and shop online at Thadia.com to experience the brand of the courageous and brave. And of course, the KTP apparel line, the apparel line created to honor former U.S. Army Ranger and 2012 Benghazi survivor Chris Tonto Peranto. I should say there's people who have been a part of the brand. Nate Boyer, I should mention, is a guy who really reps the brand hard and does great stuff for them. And
Thadia, if you check out also on their Instagram account, they have Thadia Courageous and Brave as well, which is another separate Instagram feed. That is for their line of gear that they sponsor for high school teams. Sometimes they outfit entire high school teams there in Tennessee. And I wear all their stuff. I don't wear anything else. I love their shorts. I love their shirts. They don't stink. And I sweat like a pig when I work out. And I've had the same Courage and Bravery shirt that I've had for 3 years. It still comes back after the wash. It fits athletically. It's not a compression fit, but it's an athletic fit, a tapered fit, which is awesome in the gym. And it's so comfortable and soft. And then, they're soft enough too. You can wear them every day and they don't fit like a compression shirt. So you don't have to walk around looking like you just got out of the gym because you're some huge guy on the street. You can wear it with just shorts or jeans and, or shorts and boots and tennis shoes or whatever you want to do. It's tremendous, guy. I don't use any. I used to wear Nike. I used to wear Adidas. I used to wear all that. I have stopped wearing all that stuff. And that's all I wear is Thadia at the gym. And the shorts, the running shorts they do make longer shorts for you guys that want the longer basketball shorts, and they're fantastic as well. Yep, but I asked them if they could make me some running shorts, and they do. And they now make a black.
They look awesome. Short.
Oh, they're fantastic, and they're the best. Like I said, I stopped wearing my Nike running shorts. Unless I've just wore all my KTP shorts because they're all sweaty, but that's all I wear. I just wear the Thadia running shorts, and they fit tremendous. And they have that pocket in the back that you can put your license in or car keys or whatever you need to. When I'm on the road, throw my hotel key in there if I still have a hotel key. And guys, I would highly recommend if you're heavy into working out, switching over to some of their stuff. And I think you'll be turned on to it. I am. And that's all I wear now. It's amazing workout gear. And And
I wear their stuff all the time.
Yeah.
I really do love the brand. I love all their clothing. So Fatia, inspired by the heroic and worn by the courageous and brave. And they do women's apparel. You'll see Chris's wife, Tanya, rocking their stuff on their Instagram. So yeah, it's THADDEA.com, THADDEA.com. And this episode is also brought to you by our friends who I use. This is a product I use every single day of my life for real. Hero Soap Company, herosoapcompany.com. No chemicals, dyes, or fragrances. No parabens that are found in common soaps that link to breast cancer and reproductive complications in men. They just launched their new organic fragrance-free pet wash for your furry friends. And they also have new scents in their body wash: lavender, the pines, the meadow, lime, and the Arctic. They include all natural ingredients your skin craves to stay hydrated, like olive oil, essential oils, and aloe vera. They're veteran owned. They do a great job, and they're focused on veteran charities, which includes the Chris Paranto's founded 14th Hour Foundation, who they've donated a lot to. And for all subscription purchases, which they do, they match the amount of soap and they send that amount overseas to a deployed location. And with that subscription, which is shipped straight to your door every month, you'll get that basically on order every month. Or you could do, what I do is the Freedom Bundle, where you get all the different scents. I just reorder that pretty often because I love the charcoal and the spearmint and the peppermint. They're all great. They're all the woods. I've used every scent, and I will never go back to regular bar soap again. This is my favorite.
I don't either. And I've got the woods in the house, not a wood. Come on, guys, keep clean thoughts. In the shower, I got the woods right now. It's fantastic. The soap, I don't dry out. And out here, we don't get the humidity in the Midwest as I think we get in the coast in the wintertime. And so my skin really dried out, and now it doesn't at all. And actually, I have their body wash too. It's the lime. The lime scented body wash, and it's fantastic as well. And they are fantastic supporters of the 14th Hour Foundation. They provide money to us every month, and that says a lot of their character. But just their product themselves, that's why they're successful. Not for their marketing, not for the things they do, which does help to the veteran community, but they have a tremendous product, and that's why they've taken off, and that's why Ian and I still use their stuff. If it was terrible soap, I wouldn't use it. It's outstanding, and if you like that cool breeze down there, definitely get the peppermint. Get the peppermint one. That's buddy, your nether region will never feel so cool and clean. But
it's true.
It's awesome stuff, guys. Check them out, and they really help Battle Line Podcast, but they have a great product, as all our sponsors do. All of our sponsors have great products, or we wouldn't have them as sponsors. So great stuff here. Yeah. So,
but I really would recommend that Freedom Bundle for the first time, because you'll get to try out all the different scents. And it's like I don't know. It's an event every time I get to change the bar, and I'm like, okay, I get a new scent here. It's great. True. And if you do the subscription, there's no contract either. You can cancel at any time. So let freedom clean, herosoapcompany.com, and use the offer code BattleLine for 15% off. And you can combine that for 10% off the subscription on the hard soap. I've been using them consistently, even when we have months go by where we haven't really done anything with them. I always have to reorder. So herosoapcompany.com, or of course you could do the subscription so you don't have to reorder. That might be the best way to go for a lot of you. Herosoapcompany.com, promo code BattleLine. Joining us for the first time on the podcast is actually a guy we've wanted on for a while. I didn't reach out to you until recently, but even though we're 100 plus episodes in, you are a name that Chris has thrown out since the very beginning of we got to get Dale Sizemore on. So I'm glad we're finally doing it. Just to give a brief background, Dale is an Army Ranger, combat veteran of Somalia, which was shown in the 2001 film that many of you have seen, of course, Black Hawk Down. And then you also did the documentary Black Hawk Down in 2014, which people could watch on Amazon Prime and elsewhere.
That was really good. That was actually really good. I saw it. I thought you did an excellent job. You looked fantastic too. The makeup person
The makeup person.
It was all camera. It was all camera.
And Dale is also, just to give his background in the Rangers, team leader of 3rd Battalion from 91 to 95, instructor in 4th Battalion from 95 to 96.
Kiss my ass.
Sorry, man.
Currently
pipeline. I was a fun instructor,
We'll definitely
we'll get into that. We'll get into that, guys.
Currently a pipeline inspector with Blackhawk Engineering, which is a great name, and also one of the men behind 3 Rangers Whiskey. So with this introduction, yeah, 3 Rangers Whiskey, which is 3rangers.com.
Yeah, I didn't know that you were three Rangers. I just started following you on 3 Rangers. I mean, I knew it was out there, but I didn't know you were part of that. And then I've never met Clay. I know Clay's name just because of you and McKnight. And I'm still friends, even though I haven't talked to a while.
Since we don't have video, he's doing a shot of 3 Rangers.
You're doing a shot of 3 Rangers. With Country, David Floyd. So, but we'll get it. But hey, brother, what was I making fun of him before? I already fucking forgot.
Before we were recording, we were talking about that I posted the photo of you on Ballistic Magazine.
Oh, not the sexy photo. I don't want to talk about
sexy.
Well, if we want to talk about, we're talking about the size of his balls.
Your standards are low, Chris.
It is. Okay, so do we want to get into the size of his balls? Remember, we're not going to get any faith listeners on this one. No, brother, it's awesome to have you on, and I know Phil's going to feel like he's the one that made this happen. Otto, you did not. I've been trying to get Dale on for the last year, but it just hasn't been working out. But, buddy, I know the story. I don't know what I don't know is the lead up to then and your time. And I want people to know just from when you went through RIP, talk about RIP, how it was then in comparison to now. And I went through in 95, and then because Rangers do stupid shit on block leave, I had to go through it again in 99 after I got out of the Army and came back in. But go just, this is yours. Go with your Army career. And I don't know that much about your beginning outside of Task Force Ranger. So yeah, what made you join? Typical shit. What made you join and why Rangers? And then I want to know stories from RIP when you went through it, because I'm interested in.
I really had no idea what I wanted to do. I just know I didn't want to go to college. So I graduated from, Clinton High School in little town, Central Illinois. Yep. So I just didn't want to be that 40-year-old guy, cruising, watching the high school girls cruise around the square,
Yeah, I get older and the chicks stay the same age.
And now I'm almost 50 here, and December 11th I'll be 50, and I still enjoy driving by the college.
We're old. Yep,
Dale looks great, I should say, man. Because just looking at your background that you were in the Rangers, not 91. Honestly, looking at you, I wouldn't think you go back that far.
Well, I appreciate that. You're the only one. It's
not to hit on you or anything here. Just saying.
I think he's fucking sexy. That's why there was that awkward silence there for a second. I was trying to. It's like, damn it, Ian, stop picking up on our guests. Let me try. Give me a chance.
Hey, we just want to make eye contact, Ethan, right?
Sorry, I guess you guys can see this right now. I'm covering my face because I feel so weird. I feel so weird right now.
I graduated high school and really, didn't know what I wanted to do. So I went and saw the Army recruiter. His name's Chris Springs, and I'm telling you, we're still friends to this day.
That's
great dude. And he was straight up with me. He wasn't one of those recruiters that just wanted to fill a slot. And he's like, well, "What do you want to do, man?" I'm like, "Man, I have no idea." He's like, "Let me show you some films." So. Man, I'd see these motherfuckers rowing down the river, with camo on, jumping out airplanes.
I saw that same fucking film. That's what
I want to do. He said, "You want to be a Ranger?" I said, "Sure." No fucking idea what it was,
Yep.
And so, went up to MEPS, and he told me, he said, "Look," he said, "don't take no for an answer."
So you didn't have? Did you have a RIP contract, or you didn't? Did you?
I did, but in order to get, you go to MEPS, and then you get. Yeah. So I went up and I walk into this little cubicle, and this recruiter's. He says, "Hey, what do you want to do?" I'm like I want to be a Ranger. And he said, "Man," he's like, I don't think we have a slot." And I'm like, "Okay." I stood up and I walked out of his cubicle.
Yep.
He chased me down that aisle, and he's like, whoa, come back. He's like, he's like, when do you want to leave? I'm like, soon. He's like, when's your birthday? I said, December. This was, of course, was like June. And he said, how about January 3rd? I'm like, perfect. So
awesome.
And
that's how we had to do it back then. You had, I don't know if they have to do that now, but I remember that the recruiter would always say, especially Ranger contracts or they try, hey, no, how about airborne? Or they try to go down. But you had to be hard.
You can volunteer for RIP in airborne school. Don't worry.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. I remember that shit. How many guys were screwed? And like, no, you're not. No, you're not going. You're going 80 seconds. Shut up. Get out of here.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
But that's awesome. You called his bluff. You got it. And then, so when you shipped off to Benning. So January, what year was it?
January 3rd, 91.
January 3rd.
So, okay. I graduated in 90. He's undressing. Jesus Christ.
I tell you, dude, this podcast,
I gotta have another.
You got to take another shot because this podcast, we are no short of sexiness, and I'm even wearing some silk. I'm not wearing any underwear.
Wow. Okay.
No,
until Thaddeus makes underwear.
I'll tell you how small this community is. Okay. So we get up to Chicago and get ready to go to the airport. The recruiter hands me an envelope with all like 6 of us that were heading down from Chicago, flying to Georgia.
Okay.
Well, you guys know who John McPhee is? John Shrek McPhee. Okay.
Yeah.
So we left Chicago together. So we went through basic training, AIT, airborne school, RIP, and he went to first bat and I went to third.
Wow.
Yeah. So I had no idea he even jumped the fence. And come to find out, Clay has worked with him. A lot of the guys we know have worked with him.
It goes. The community is so small, and it was Clay a contractor? Was that in the contract world? Or did Clay? I don't know what Clay's career, but all I know is of Clay. I don't know of his career at all. Clay, that's Clay Othick. He was portrayed in the movie as well. He was a part of Task Force Ranger, and as like I said, another Ranger legend that does amazing things. But what did he do? Did he jump the fence too?
Well, he got out, and during 9/11, he worked for ICE. So
okay.
Yeah. So he was kicking indoors after 9/11 and decided he had enough of that and quit and or retired and was a civilian and went to selection and they accepted him. Oh. So yeah.
Well, cheers. Good for him. I'm happy sitting on my ass at home, looking at the rain from a window in my warm house. So
it gets raining here too, man.
Well, once you got there and you went through basic training, any stories from basic training that stick out? I know back in the day, they don't get hazed like they used to. And even in 95, we were getting hazed. And I had drill sergeants putting our hands on.
Yep. And
I want guys to hear those stories because I think a lot of that should come back. It did prepare you. Now there's a line where you don't want to kill anybody. Don't do the what did you order the code? No code reds. We're not talking about that. But how hard was it? And I want people to get there's a perspective when young guys listen to this are going to join that when they get there to like, oh shit, I listened to Dale Sizemore and he went through that. This ain't nothing.
Man, I'm telling you, I didn't even pass the run when I joined.
No shit. Oh
no.
And that was when it was 1154 max. And to pass it was like 14. Just to pass it was 1440, or I'd have to get it out. I remember that. Yeah.
Oh, it was more than that. It was like, I think just to get into basic training, it was like a 9-minute mile.
Yeah.
And wow. There were people speed walking faster than I could fucking run. I'm not kidding. So it was like 20 minutes, and I got to stay in, and I set myself in like the mid group.
Okay.
And ended up, just improving enough to where I was running a 13:06 by the time basic training ended.
That's awesome. And that's in 2 miles, guys. That's 2 mile time. So it's just not a mile time, 2 mile time.
Right. Right. That was my first mile time.
So how long were you at MEPS before you headed off to, and what company, can I ask you, what company were you at Benning?
Fuck.
Do you remember?
I think it was. I think we were in Deco. And fuck, I can't remember. We lived in the old Starships. Remember those?
You did, yeah. You guys were. Was it not on Kelly? Was it Kelly Hill?
Yeah,
yeah. You guys were all on Kelly Hill. Yeah.
So great story. So Steve Anderson, another ranger in Somalia. Big, tall. We call him Sasquatch because he's like 6'4", and I got to see him just a month ago. He's out in Washington State now, but so he had asthma and lies to get in. Yeah. So we get down to MEPS and they're like, all right, look, if you got any drugs, alcohol, dip, chew, anything like that, there's an amnesty box. You can put it in there. So he throws his fucking inhaler in there.
I heard this story.
Yeah. So a couple nights in, the wool blankets give him a fucking asthma attack, and we all wake up the next morning, and like Steve's just gone. And we asked the drill sergeant, like, hey, what happened to Anderson? And like, oh, he died last night. Oh, and we're like, and we had known him for like 3 or 4 days, so we were like, oh shit, that sucks, But Steve and I are freaking best friends. So he ended up catching up to us. So I'm working chow hall one day, and
you still think he's dead? Do you still think he's dead?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'd already forgot him. You know what I'm saying? For a month, and I had already forgot who the hell he was. So I see him walking by the chow hall, and I'm like, I thought you were dead, dude. And he's like, no. So he ended up catching up to us, and ended up in Bico.
Yeah. Well, that's why I tell people when you go in, like you said, don't take no for an answer. And there's waivers for freaking everything. It doesn't matter if you want it bad enough and you request it enough and you're just a thorn in their side, guys. If you're joining or if you're in and you want to go to a place, just keep bugging somebody, and you're gonna go there. But I heard that he was a pretty hardcore motherfucker too, and going to Ranger Battalion with asthma. And back then, I don't know if they run like they used to, like we used to, but I remember holy shit, we're gazelles.
Yep.
So,
I mean, I was big for a Ranger, and not fat, but I was muscular for a Ranger. Yeah. So running just was not my thing, Give me a Cadillac and put it in my rucksack and I'll carry that fucker. But you know what I'm saying? Do not expect me to run anywhere.
I love that. Yeah, the big
I was motivated. I love battalion. I mean, it was one of the best times of my life, But basic training. So what did you call it? Desert Storm hit, and we were on our first FTX out in the field, and man, I was whining like a little bitch. Like thinking I was going to war. I had no fucking idea. I'm like, man, I don't want to die. I'm like, fucking, a few hours later, it was over already. But Ranger Battalion really, and even RIP really prepares you for, combat and.
Well, it does. It does. Oh, yeah. It's because it's hard. It's hey, you sink or it really is a sink or swim. But what I also found too is that, at least my experience, is that you do get a chance, and it's like, hey, do you really want this, or do you really want to be here? All right, you fuck this up, I'm going to smoke the shit out you, but I'm going to give you one more chance, or you can quit.
Right?
Hey, who wants to quit? And I that's one thing that stuck out with me at RIP, and I want to go talk to you about RIP as well. But it was. Especially when we got picked up at airborne school, we had 6 guys or 7 guys that already raised their hand to quit. And even the RIP instructors that came in, they even were like, they were trying to talk them out of it. I mean, they were trying to, it was funniest thing. It was like almost ironic or even hypocritical to say that they would come in and they were hard nosed and they just scaring the living shit out of us. And who wouldn't want to quit? And then when they said, okay, who wants to quit? All these guys raise their hands up, and we haven't even done anything yet. And what do? They come to them in their face and they go, you don't even know what the fuck you're quitting for. Why do you want to quit? And I'm thinking like, okay, this is a tremendous mind fuck. They're trying to get you to quit, but then when you want to quit, they're trying to talk you out of it.
They don't want you to quit.
I'm just going to stand here and not raise my hand or do anything. I think I'm not even going to breathe. But that was what astonished me with Ranger. And what I loved the brotherhood about that is that it was hard, but they didn't want you to fail. There was like, no, we're fucking don't want you to fail. We just don't, we just don't, if you're going to give up easy though, well, see ya. We don't want that either. But
we want the guys that are hard or the guys that can make hard.
And that was it. And the majority of us were the ones, because I wasn't hard. They made me that way. I definitely wasn't. What was your like RIP experience, brother? When you got done with basic, you're done. You went through airborne school. Anything from airborne school? I mean, we can skip airborne school, but if you wanted, I don't know. Was there anything that stuck out in airborne school, or is it just
one of the greatest things in airborne school? There was this hot chick. Okay, one. You know what I'm saying? And of course, all these friggin' SEALs were hitting on her, and I end up being the one kid that got to fuck her.
There it is. There. And at least you rubbed it in their face, because I remember that too. The SEALs, I hated that they didn't have to live on. Did they have to live in the barracks, or they got to live off? They didn't, did they? Ours
I don't remember. I don't remember. I'd be lying to you if I just making shit up, but which I'm good at. I mean, I could make a whole bunch of shit up for you right now.
Nobody would know. Actually, are you sure you sleeping with that girl isn't made up? I'm just asking. Did you make that shit up, dude?
No, okay. Not that's one thing that's one thing I don't lie about is sex.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I mean, if I tell you a story, then it's fucking true.
And if you haven't heard this podcast from the beginning, she fell for him because his balls are huge, monstrous. All right. He's got elephantitis of the balls.
Well, they were just full of cum.
Honestly, all of ours were about that time. Nobody had seen,
dude, in battalion, I was dating this girl, and I would drive an hour to her house. We'd fuck 2 or 3 times every night. And I was still jacking off 4 or 5 times during the day in the barracks.
I could never. I mean, I could never do that. I don't get that. We had guys. Leonard. Now I want to say it was Leonard. Because I'm going to be calling him. But there were guys that were like that. It was just holy shit. Stop eating so much celery and what are you doing? It's like, guys, we got to go now. What's he doing? The door's closed. Oh, and then you find happy. Then you do clean his room. You find happy socks. All in this one corner. It's like, it's just guys, happy socks.
I think we can.
Do I need to talk about? Do I need to decipher what a happy sock is?
I think we figured it out.
I mean, it's not a puppet, per se, but
when you get to RIP, like I said, RIP experiences and good. It doesn't have good and bad. I loved. I shouldn't say I loved RIP, but I did.
And remember the trip over. That trip over, they're like, you got all your bags, and at one point they're yelling at us, nobody better have their fucking feet on the ground, and guys are hugging trees, and one guy hugging a tree, the other guy holding on to him, hoping he can fucking hold him up, and the monkey bars, I mean, you name it, and people are just off the. I saw one guy fucking levitate just to fucking not get smoked, Yeah. But it was great, and cause we had guys like Sergeant Watson, who ended up my platoon sergeant in Somalia, and Bird Dog, and I mean just all those guys. I mean, we're just legends. Hard, all those guys were absolute legends, and then all came over to BICO for some reason. But the craziest thing is, if you ever went through RIP with Sean T. Watson, you were just afraid of that voice. Hey, motherfucker, what the fuck you think you're doing? And always with the knife hand. I mean,
and it does. It brings back bad memories. I'm in '95 when I went through. Your guy Shruker was one of our RIP techs, and that's the voice I remember. And because you just knew, and he didn't have to say anything. He would just come out onto the steps. He would just come out and stand with that stance. And, very few, there was only a few guys that had a CIB at that time. Right. So we knew it was like, holy shit. And he would just he didn't have to say a word. He would just have to leer over us. And we would you could feel everybody's assholes clench on the basketball court there and not say a word. And then he would just turn around and walk back in. Wouldn't say a word. He'd just do a 180, walk back in. And you could just hear everybody go, Oh, like, holy fuck, that was close. Even though we didn't do anything, but that's the kind of guys we needed. I'm so happy that him and we had other great rip cadre over there just literally destroyed us because I needed that, 10 years later.
Oh,
and
man.
Yeah, it was.
It's true. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And I remember the road march was probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. That rip road march. And, they call me up and they're like, all right, you're going to be front road guard. I'm like, fuck yes. I can carry this rucksack as long as I'm, and leading was, perfect because I'm in front, and I'm just going to walk next to this instructor. And so we get to the halfway point and we fucking keep going and we keep going and we keep going. And I'm like, what in the fuck is going on here? This is fucking going to be more than 12 miles, Oh, no. We stop when the last person crosses the line. So now I'm the rear road guard. And that accordion effect.
Now you're running the whole freaking way back.
My legs, I look like Frodo fucking Baggins out there. You know what I'm saying? I'm like fucking doing this. And, you can't run because they'll put you on the truck. So, but we get all the way back to Cardiac Hill. And I'm just thinking to myself, all right, just fall down and fake like you got hurt. You can just redo the fucking, the road march tomorrow morning, because they told you, you got one more chance after this. I'm like, I'll just fucking redo the whole thing tomorrow morning. I'll be good, And I look up and I just see all my boys, just, all the guys I came through, left Chicago with and, went through basic with, and they are all hurting just as bad as I am. Yeah. So I'm like, you know what? Fucking stick it out. And I did. And I'm telling you what, I was never more sore in my entire life than probably the week after that. Couldn't even fucking walk.
But that's what you said, man. You didn't give up because your guys didn't give up. And that right. You all shared the pain. That's what we all get on those team environments. You don't really, even if you don't like each other, you still see each other sharing that workload, and then everybody's hurting just like you are. You're like, well, fuck. Because you do have that moment of doubt, like you did, right there, self-doubt, like, fuck, I don't think I can do this. And then you look up and everybody else is going, and you see that guy wincing or another guy, doing the rucks because his shoulders are clear and he's trying to, or another one that's just looks like he's going to fall over. And it's like, well, everybody else is hurting. They're pushing on. I got to push on too. It's the same thing. Well, you get through RIP, and did you pick? Because we all get a pick, guys. If you're out there listening, when you go, you get to put in a wish list of which battalion you want to go to. Did you pick third, or which? Or did you?
No.
You pick?
Nobody picks third, dude.
for the civilian listener, like, why do you say that? Because civilian might wonder why.
Everybody wants,
Okay,
near the beach, hot girls. That's all anybody ever wanted. And so, I think M's must have been the fucking cutoff because McPhee got first, and then everybody else went to third. I think there's 6 or 7 of us that went to third.
Yeah,
and we're just like, oh,
we
had no idea that it was all the fat chicks we could eat.
So that's why. And that's the thing. If you don't want to go to Fort Benning, because you're by the flagpole, first of all, so you're going to get screwed with, and you already know it. And then you've already been there. I mean, you've been there. So I don't want to be here anymore. I've been here for 3 weeks already. Because you are. I mean, you said that the RIP training barracks are a little bit of ways away. I don't know if they've moved, and you had to do that little walk through the gate.
They were right next door.
Were they right?
They
next
were right
door?
next door when I went through.
But I mean, third bat. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just
it was great.
Go ahead, bro. I keep stepping on you. Sorry, Dale. I'm sorry about that.
Oh no. You're good. Get to third bat, and of course, one of the first people we see is our squad, and I had Mapes and Fix. You know who either one of those are?
I've never met him before. Just the name, but I've never met him. Okay.
Actually, Mapes is in Washington now, but
did you say Phipps? So, like Rob Phipps?
To backtrack a little bit. Oh, No, Rob wasn't. No, Fix. Joe Fix.
Fix. Okay.
They were both Panama vets. So
okay.
Yeah. So like all my first 4 team leaders were all Panama vets, which is awesome.
Wow.
But so we're in RIP and we're in RIP holdover. Okay. So this is how I meet Bubba Moore for the first time ever. And I don't know if you know who Bubba Moore is, right?
Yep.
Okay. So
yeah.
So we are on our weekend and we're at the Days Inn there next to the Pick-a-Slut. And so Kevin Snodgrass is just wasted. We're down at the pool, there's some fat chicks down there. So of course that's where we were. And we see these guys sitting up on the balcony and they're throwing ice down at these girls. So Snodgrass fucking stands up and he's like, "You've got 10 airborne seconds to stop that."
Man.
So we get back to holdover, and they ask for details to go out to pre-ranger. So wow. we go out there and Cole Range, and who do we see? The same motherfuckers that were throwing ice down, and they recognize Kevin.
Were they?
Bubba. Oh, it was Bubba. So they end up pulling the atomic sit up on Kevin, and Kevin's face goes right into Bubba's hairy, smelly, Coal Range stinking
guys.
Dude,
that's gross. There's
that's
not
a whole different kind of smell.
And dude, there's not a dry taint in a Coal Range, dude. There's that's just disgusting.
Coal Range is so hard that the hair on your butthole actually grows while you're there. So yeah, it was horrible. I didn't know he was coming out.
And you know what? I still think of it sucked being there, but man, just thinking of Coal Range and just remembering.
Why do Rangers smile when they think about the shittiest times that they had?
the misery finally where we actually had a chance to sit down and take we actually had like 5 minutes to eat. And where do I sit? I sit against a tree, and my only downtime, and of course I have to sit in the only fire ant pile. And I was like, just got chewed up, and like, geez, really? It's already bad enough, and now I just want to suck down my scrambled eggs right quick, and I've got to. But I remember because it was awesome out there, and at night, not knowing how to do land navigation, and them throwing you out there. Yep. Okay, go find these points. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Right. Well, you're fine. Just don't go in the pond. There's alligators down there. Wow. Okay. You're fine. Like, geez, do they do safety checks on this fucking? Yeah. But it does grow hair on your, as a common theme to our show, which is what we're going to call it, the big ball show. It does throw a lot of hair on your monstrous balls when you're.
It does. I'm telling you. I mean, this is like 3 weeks growth. Seriously, I can't fucking grow a beard to save my life, dude.
And you got the third bat. How long were you there? And just for our listeners, just to do the timeline, how long were you there before you started to do the workup? And when you started to do the workup to go to Somalia, did you even know? Because a lot of times, especially if you're not in the need to know ranks, you're just doing another FT. You're just doing another JRX. You're just doing something part of rotary wing bilats. Yeah. You're just doing something part of fixed wing, and you don't know that you're actually training up for something. But when did you realize that, holy shit, we're going to Somalia?
Not until we were called to go to the Delta compound. So
wow.
So 93 was a busy year for us. March we went to Korea, and had a blast. May we went to Thailand.
Wow.
And, so we got to work with the Thai Rangers there, and that was a blast.
That's something I really wish I would have been able to. I heard those guys are freaking animals. I heard they're awesome.
They are. Cobras. I mean, it was it's absolutely. And so one of the great traditions, of course, one of their worst traditions, at least for us, was the Thai Rangers would swap the youngest private with whatever unit they were with, because most of the Thais are bisexual.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, and I mean they're like sitting holding hands, like waiting to jump, and I'm like, what in the fuck is going on here? And so Sergeant Hardy, blonde hair, blue eyes, kind of like myself, I stand there taking a piss, and of course there's no running water. Every day there's torrential downpours, so the rain's caught from the roof and it runs down through through gutters into this big basin. So to shower, you walk up with a bowl, you wet yourself down, soap yourself up, and rinse yourself off. So Sergeant Hardy's standing there taking a piss with his towel on, and this fucking Thai Ranger walks over and pulls his towel aside to look at his dick. So it was probably I don't know a week or two in, and it's hot as fuck, and we had some downtime, so I'm like, man, I'm gonna go get wet and cool off. And I got my weapon. Of course, we're not carrying live ammo. We're not even carrying fucking blanks. And I'm just walking by myself to the basin, and these three Thai Rangers are walking up behind me, and they're like, "Hey, go upstairs, go boom boom." And I'm like, what did you just say? And he said, "Go upstairs, go boom boom." And I'm like, motherfucking. And my instinct, I just grabbed my gun, and there's nothing. I could have beat him to death, but that was about it. I still took a shower, but they were just fucking laughing, fucking walked off. I'm like, what in the fuck is going on here?
But, how many of those guys actually just were because they know us Americans, especially.
I'm pretty sure.
Oh my gosh!
I'm pretty sure because we'd go into Loperi, the local town, and if there was a hot chick, she probably had a dick. It was probably
that's prominent there.
Actually, that's Thai. I shouldn't have said I didn't. That's the Thai thing. I get that, but I didn't know within the Thai Rangers that it was. Yeah. But I mean, it makes sense. And hey, whatever you got to do, man. Yeah, whatever you got to do to fight. But yeah, especially back then, I bet that was
because that's what I think. It's a very
shock.
It's a very different American culture. I feel like even for me, I remember the 90s, and what's acceptable today was not acceptable in the 90s. And yeah, I'm sure for a bunch of probably almost all straight American guys that are, this hyper masculine group of guys. Yeah, it was probably really bizarre.
Oh yeah. But great guys to work with.
Yeah. That's what I heard. I heard they're tremendous, just fighters. So I guess I just want to know, as maybe makes me a little weird, what the Thai guy say when he pulled back was it whose towel?
Hardy's
towel. Did he say anything, or was that the end of the story? So it must not have been that impressive then.
Oh no, Hardy, it was like, what the fuck? And run off,
That's what I'd have done. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? I'd have ran off. Like, dude, stop looking at my little penis, dude.
Right.
I'm already ashamed of it enough. So you guys were doing all that shit there. And then but were you prepared? I mean, were you doing anything that was prepared? So you weren't doing any mock-ups, any sort of rock drills on any, really? Okay. All right.
And then we get stuck in Hawaii on the way back.
So, that's awful. Yeah, Jesus, you guys are just doing miserable trips.
Our first experience with Air Force chow halls, which then made everybody, question why we joined the fucking Army.
Yep, I'm with you.
This lady comes around to take our tray, and we're like, "What?
Holy shit!" There was captain chairs. There was. My first was at Fairchild in Spokane when we broke down on a C5 flying back from a GRX at Bragg, and oh my gosh, there were TVs everywhere, captain's chairs that were padded. I mean, I had a buffet. I mean, I got to admit though, Ranger cooks do some. We got some good food. But just the ambiance. I felt like I was eating at a nice upscale buffet type restaurant that I'd find.
Almost like we were cheating on our cooks.
Yes, we were. I felt bad. But I'm not going to knock Ranger cooks because those fuckers. It's just
they are.
They make some damn good food. Oh fuck yeah, good food. Oh, I ate
and not only that, but they're fucking great fighters.
And you see a cook with his tab? That's badass, dude. On his white set.
I had one on the back of my Humvee with me in Somalia. So,
did you?
Yep. I'll get to it. Brian Connor.
Okay. All right. We'll get to the fence. Okay, you're Delta. You're training up. What's going on?
Well, it's great because we're in Hawaii, and instead of staying at the Air Force Base, Captain Steele pulls out his government credit card and gets 60 rooms at the Outrigger West on Waikiki Beach.
Wow! Holy shit! Oh wow!
Nobody, stayed there. So, there's I'm not going to say his name, but he left third bat and he went out to second bat. So I'm sure you know who he is. Okay.
Okay.
His initials are CS. Missing a tooth, good sized guy. But he's married now, so I'm not gonna say.
Okay. Oh wow. Well, okay.
So, apparently, the story I heard, because nobody used their room. We figured we had 24 hours in Hawaii. We're not going to spend any time in our room unless you're going to get a hooker. And apparently, this guy did. And so he goes into the shower and he's beaten off so he could last longer.
What kind? Does that work? Hey, help me out. Maybe that's our next question. That's my question to our listeners out there. Have I been doing it wrong the
longer? But at least I know now I need at least a 15-20 minute break.
Well, yeah, I mean I'm actually, dude, you're good. I'm 50 years old. I need 2 days after at least 2 days, and I need to go take my fountain of youth too. But holy shit, yeah, like wow. I don't remember those days, but I guess I was once young. Oh. I was, yeah.
If you were one of those guys that could jack off 4 times a day, then
yeah, that was never me. I never had that. No, I wasn't that cool. I was not a subject matter expert in jacking off. So you guys go ahead.
We get back, and then in August we go to Texas, and we're just there doing like an FTX.
Okay.
We're doing rotary wings and Jeeps and bikes. Okay. And then we get the call to go to Somalia. So, or we get a call that says we're going to go to the Delta compound, and it was just BICO. So, we go and we train at the Delta compound for a little bit, and then all of a sudden they cank the mission and send us back to Fort Bliss. And that same night, like we literally just landed, and we're back there, don't have any of our stuff unpacked yet, our D bags, and they're like, "Oh, pack, let's go, we're going back." So
why did they do? I know Colonel McKnight. I've met him after the fact. I didn't know him back then, but I've asked him a few times. Yeah, and it's been a long time. But your take, why? And Colonel McKnight wrote a book about the back and forth too. And I've talked to David Floyd. David Floyd, I'm friends with. Actually, I love country. I think he's a fucking good dude. But what was your? Why do you think? Why did they do that? Why did they do the can't? Did you hear me?
I don't know. I think Bill Clinton decided that they weren't ready to do it yet. He didn't want to go through with that kind of action. Okay. And then they changed their mind for whatever reason. I don't know if there was an attack on some of the forces over there, but they just decided that, yep, you guys are going. And speaking of Dave Floyd, next time you see him, ask him what it was like being the second best saw gunner in battalion.
I will, and we got to get David on too. David's on our list to get on this show too. Country is that dude's awesome. I mean, I haven't talked to him in 2 years. That just shows how. But David's the kind of guy I know I could pick up the phone and be like, "Hey, dude, what's happening?" And he'd be like, "Motherfucker, why have you not been calling me?" And it'd be all right.
Your accent needs to be a lot thicker.
Yeah, I can't do that deep South Carolina, down by the beach redneck accent there, man. But awesome dude. Well, so you guys went. How long was the train up that you had to do before you guys punched out?
I want to say we probably trained for a total of about let's see, we went over there September 25th. It was close to a month. Train up.
And were you hitting did they have a compound built similar? I mean, you could
kind of. We're just doing CQB and we're doing the elevators. Okay. And of course, while we're there, I make the biggest rookie mistake ever. Even though I wasn't a rookie. We're fast roping and again, I'm carrying a saw, trying to figure out how to, back then we had the long saws. We didn't have the parasaws.
Yeah.
So
yep. So
the damn thing was almost as tall as me, and I mean, I'm 5'8", but you remember the old saws, man, with the long butt stock and the long barrel. I mean,
I had it. I carried it.
Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out how to get this thing the barrel not to fucking hit the ground every time I go down. And so, I'm coming down and I look down like this, look down forward, and that rope just fucking burns my whole neck all the way down. Never again would I make that mistake.
Was that? I mean, and that was you had
your hands burned.
Oh yeah,
you've had your hands burned after open, but I'm telling you, raw right up against my neck right here, man. You know, I just looked down for some reason instead of looking over.
Damn,
just stupid.
Well, and you're lucky something didn't go wrong with the rope or below. You'd have tricked yourself massively. And that
all fun.
And that was why you
can't complain about anything.
Yeah, that was. I said that was at the Delta compound. That wasn't when you were. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, I think we were one of the first units ever to go to the compound.
That's cool.
So
how was that?
Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. Oh, but those guys got it made. And, you know, now knowing a bunch of them, it's taken, you know, a couple decades for the squadron to kind of come into the fold.
Yeah.
And which is just, you know, par for the course, but great guys, man. Like Brad Halling. And actually Brad, I guess, is doing getting ready to do a whiskey now too.
Jeez, that's why I did a vodka, Ian. That's why, because there was like so many veteran whiskeys out there. It's like, geez, okay, let's.
And I tell you, I'm a vodka guy. I love vodka. Because I didn't drink when I joined the Army at all.
You mean you were doing all this craziness and you weren't? I did.
Nope.
I ain't gonna lie.
Didn't drink.
Seriously?
Didn't drink till after Somalia.
Wow. Well, on a side note, we'll talk. Like we need to do something together on the whiskey and the vodka, because Ben Morgan from First Bat is my partner on the vodka, but I'll send you some. Brother.
Okay.
But when we
it'd be a cool collaboration. I mean, I was even thinking if at some point Three Rangers, you know, whoever's at head of marketing and wants to advertise with us.
Okay. Yeah. So I've had this for you for a long time.
Oh shit! You're right. You're supposed to send me that motherfucker. That was last year. We're supposed to trade. What the hell?
I'm probably gonna have to send you one of the guns I built just to make up for it.
Nice.
Hey, but hold, don't say it, because we moved. So the address you had, the Nebraska address is old. So don't send it there. Okay. But I'll get with you. I still got your.
So where you at now?
So I know we're running up on time, so I want to make sure we get to Task Force Ranger. And I mean, as much as you can talk about, you know, again, our listeners, we have veterans, we have guys that have been through a lot of stuff, of course, in the GWAT era, but we also have a lot of young guys. And I like you to get as, you know, I don't care how as detailed or as graphic as you can, because I want them to know. I don't want them to go in thinking like, oh, here's this cool video, like we did. Here's this cool video, and not really know it. But I want to know, dude, because I know just bits and pieces from David and from Colonel, from Danny. But you know, to me, that is still, that epitomizes the Ranger valor. That's what we all, after Somalia, when I was in Libya, that's what I was striving to be like you guys. I was like, fuck, okay, these guys went through hell. I'm good. I mean, it's fucking A. These guys, I got all this shit. I you know, we got the best weapon systems. We're good. I got fighting positions. But it was always, can we be as heroic as those guys, as Task Force Ranger? And that was how I always strive to be. So yeah, can you talk a little bit about it, at least for like maybe 5 minutes?
I tell you, you don't think about it. You know, I mean, we did, you know, several missions before that, and I spent those missions on Mike Durant's helicopter.
Wow.
So I sat next to, I was in the door. My feet were in the door, hanging out, having a blast the whole time, you know, sitting right next to Tommy Fields. And so Bill Cleveland, the guy they were showing on the, you know, news the next day, he was the door gunner on the other side. And then Ray Frank sat in front of Tommy Fields on my side. But great guys. And I, you know, as far as, you know, the battles and you know, that battle is just, it's different. You know, it's hard to explain. You know, you don't talk. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. But I mean, most of what's in my head is all the fucking good times that we had. You know, I think of Tommy, and you know, he came down on the range one day and had never shot our guns, and you know, the SAW, the 203, or you know, even the M16. He carried an MP5. So he came down and we just let him tear up just, you know, thousands of rounds. And he let my guys shoot his MP5, and we get up in the air and he fucking him and Mike have me shoot the minigun over the fucking
water. You're on the minigun? That is.
Oh, yeah, dude. You know?
How awesome was that? Was that when you're? Oh. I remember hanging with my feet dangling out the edge, going over Fort Knox, Kentucky. I mean, how did that look, man? Coming over the ocean, coming in like that, and the guys. If you watch Black Hawk Down, you see those formations that the task force guys, the SOAR guys do. It is when you're a part of that. It is so. You feel like Hercules. I mean, like all these helicopters in perfect formation, got the little birds, then you've got the damn Chinook. If you got one in there, you got the DAPs in there. Or the black. How awesome was that? What did it feel like? And just hanging your feet, looking over the ocean, man, doing that. Amazing before you hit the city.
It feels like you're in heaven. Yeah. Every day is like that. So, you're flying over and, you can feel the ocean spray coming up and hitting you, and then of course the pilots are all fucking kids. And I'm not talking about, age wise because they're not, but mentally they're like us. Yeah. They're little fucking kids. Yeah. So Mike's flying and he just comes up and then drops in and fucking we're all floating. Kids feel like you're ready to fall out. They're up there fucking laughing.
The first one time that one banked hard, I was on a bench and he banked, and I wasn't used to it. We don't strap in on the benches. I tell those guys, I tell everybody this story. I screamed. I thought I was going to fall. I had no idea about G forces, and I screamed literally high pitched. I sounded like Ariana Grande. That's like, oh my god! It's like, you little bitch. You see, bitch, you starts laughing. But that was that. I love those guys too, because those guys they just guardian angels, man. And you saw that firsthand. I mean, you just saw amazing, and just the guys are. Well, you're coming in now. When you're coming in the city, did you know something? I know the movie portrays it. I kind of talked to the guys, but did you see, because of the smoke, because of the fires from the tires, that, hey man, this is a little different this time, or was it okay, business as usual? Well, just go get it done.
So I had hurt my elbow.
Yeah. No, you're right. Actually, that's what I want to ask you.
Yeah. Okay. So what happened is this. So and actually, Colonel Harrell, his son just contacted me and wants me to write that story down, for the colonel. So, he's not a colonel anymore, but anyway, he was the squadron commander, and he, we were having a volleyball game. So we were attacking all our commanders and hog tying them to litters and, dump ice cold water over them. And we played this volleyball game, which, obviously we won, it wasn't even close. Thank God. So anyway, Colonel Harrell's the last one. And so me and about 10 Rangers, we're there, motivated fucking privates. I'm like, fuck yeah, we're going to take this motherfucker down. And I'm like, on the count of 3, we're going to go. So 1, 2, 3. And I go and I hit him and nobody else came. So it was just me. And it was like hitting a brick wall. And, I was like, all right, well, I got to take him down. Now that I'm here, I've got to do something. So I just kind of drug him down on top of me and, just scraped my elbow, just barely. So I washed it off after it was all over. And about 3 days later, we're doing a flyover. And we get back to the airport. I jump off and my arm hits the rope. And I'm like, God damn, that's tender. So that night, I woke up and it was just swollen.
Wow. Okay.
The doc gives me, a handful of 800 milligram Motrin, and I go to sleep, and it was still swollen the next morning. So they send me to the hospital and have an IND done, and they stuff it with gauze and kind of put like a 3/4 hard cast. So it wasn't a full cast.
Okay.
Like they show in the movies, but because they had to take it off every few days to pull some of that gauze out.
Okay.
But I had a hep lock in this arm, getting IV antibiotics every 3 hours, and sitting at that hospital. I'm just fucking going crazy. And I mean, I'm yelling at doctors and, colonels and majors, get me the fuck out of here. I'm going to fucking steal the next Humvee that comes in here if you don't let me go. And they're like, fine, next helicopter comes in, we'll send you back to the airport. Well, right before that, some Marines and their interpreter were hit with an IED.
Okay.
So we heard it come over the radio and everybody's scrambling, knowing that these guys are going to be coming into the hospital. Well, so, that helicopter's coming in, I'm getting the fuck out. So I walk out and they wheel the interpreter right by me. And, the litters, they're, about a little bit wider than your shoulders so your whole body can fit on it. and no legs, all his guts just sitting on the gurney, and his arms are laid out like this, but like from about mid bicep, they just drop straight down.
Man,
like every bone in his body was just crushed. The IED hit right below, and we didn't have up armored Humvees, like they did in GWAT. It was just regular Humvees. So I was pissed right away, and I'm like, why? I mean, we need to fucking do something about this. So I get back to the airport and tell the story 1,000 times to about my elbow, and then they get called out, and so first thing I do is I grab all my shit and still got the hat block in, the fucking cast on, and get all the way out to the helicopter. And Sergeant Elliott's like, you can't come with us, not like that. So I head back to the and thinking that nothing's going to happen anyway, because most of those missions were just you go, you come back, and everything's cool. And then Lorenzo comes up to me and he's like, hey man, he's like, take this, and that was his packet to send home to his family. And I'm like, dude, get the fuck out of here. I said, I'll see you here in just a little bit, and of course, I never got to see him again after that.
Yeah. And that was that. I mean, that was in the movie, movies. I was, and I remember, that was pretty good.
So Enrique Marciano, who played Lorenzo, called me from Morocco several times to talk about our relationship, just to make sure he played the part right.
Wow. So, that's awesome.
Of course, Matthew Marsden, who I'm acquainted with now, and fucking great dude. I didn't talk to him at all before the movie.
Well, that's what Floyd said. Floyd said that you guys really got no they put them through RIP, some of the actors, but me and Pablo are actually friends. The guy that played me, we actually got to know each other very, very well. And I think he played perfectly. He's just a monster. He's a lot bigger than me, but that's what I heard. I heard that you guys didn't. I was going to ask you that you guys didn't get a chance really to meet your doppelgangers to get it down. Oh, wow.
No, but I mean, like I said, I've met him, I know Tackett and Nick from Ranger Up. So that they know him really well. And that's how we kind of got connected several years ago.
That's cool.
Seriously,
Nick from Ranger Up is a great dude. I'd love to get him on sometime.
Oh, yeah. And John Tackett, even though John didn't go to Somalia with us, he was in 2nd Platoon. Right next to the line. One of the hardest motherfuckers I've ever met in my entire life. During my first, month there, we did platoon XDevs, and John walks the skin off his heels.
Oh,
doesn't stop.
And that is probably one of the. Did you're anybody that will make a batch out of anybody when you have sorry guys, I'm just trying to be politically correct on our show because we're so politically correct. That will make a little bitch out of anybody. Just having your heels, blisters on your heels. You could have a broken leg and you'll keep walking. You'll have blisters on your heels, and that will make. So walking with no skin. Unbelievable.
When they took his boot off, I mean, like it literally had blood in his boot. He had to cut his sock off. His skin was stuck to his socks, and he was never the same after that. You know what I'm saying? It just like his feet were never the same after that. And so he's laying on his stomach for 2 weeks, trying to heal. But still, one of the hardest motherfuckers I've ever met.
That's tough, dude. Wait, did you going back to some? I'm sorry. Because I don't want to run out of time, brother. What was your altercation when you didn't get the first, what's going on, you're hearing on the radio. That's probably one of the hardest things is hearing people dying on the radio. And I get that. I understand. I really.
And then we heard that Blackburn fell out of the helicopter. And that pillow was shot. And,
wow.
And the helicopter, and then the first helicopter went down. Okay. So I'm like, that's it. I'm fucking going. So I walk out and I look at Cash. I'm like, look, dude, I said, I'm fucking going. He's like, not with that cast on. And then, so I'm sulking, at this point. And then our helicopter was shot down, Super 6-4. And I'm like, fuck it. And so I just start grabbing some of the Task Force 160 crew guys, grabbing their gear and walk out. Chris Milliman's there. He's a driver. So I grab his saw and I just walk out and I'm like holding that saw up and I'm like, I'm fucking going with you. And he's like, not with that cast on. I'm like, okay. And I just fucking ripped the hep lock out of my arm, and they helped me cut it off. I still got my uniform with the sleeve cut off. Yes, but it wasn't even a second thought. You know what I'm saying? And I knew that I had to be out there.
Yeah.
It wasn't, and any Ranger,
I understand. I know. I understand. I do.
It's just, it's, you can't know what you're going to do in a situation until you're in a situation.
And that's why all that training, and I agree with you, prepares you. It really does. I've had Rangers that I've met that have been more peacetime. They haven't done anything. And like, man, I don't know if I would have done. And I look at him in the eye and I said, dude, you would have, just because you didn't get the opportunity to. If you're at 75th, you would have gone. You would have.
Go ahead and say it.
There's no question. You would go. You don't have to be.
Call them 90s Rangers. I know you can just call them 90s Rangers. I hear it all the fucking time. They're like, oh, 90s Rangers, except for that one time.
except for that one time that really, that's probably one of the most awesome. But that's the thing is I'm like, don't ever doubt. Of course you would. There's no doubt that you would, because you don't. Now tell me, and you weren't even thinking. It's just business. It's time to go to work. It was. I mean, the emotion. Of course, the adrenaline's there. That's just normal. Adrenaline is adrenaline. But you're ready to go, and you go. Once you start to get out there, because that's where I don't know. The movie and from other guys I've talked to, when you started to get out there, what did you see, and what was your first take? Was it just the same thing, business as usual, or did anything
hit
catch
right away? It hit right away. So we'd been shot at a little bit, but nothing major. And we head out the back gate, and as soon as I pass this, the little walls, that separated the road from the yards, and the roads aren't very wide, enough for Humvee and a half. So I just get past this little section of a wall, and these four guys pop up, and they're just like ambush.
Wow.
And so I turn and just start firing. And I was good with the saw. You can ask Dave Floyd. He'll tell you I was the second best saw gunner, but that's not true. Me and Dave go round and round about that, but he is the second best saw gunner. I would give that to him every single day.
I believe
the second best. Okay,
I'll let him know.
As a matter of fact, I'm going to call him right after this. I'm going to fucking let him know again. So, Steve Anderson was the Humvee behind me, and he said that he saw one run away, but he saw that I hit three, and the other one ran away. And not 50 yards later, RPG lands right in front of our Humvee.
Wow.
Bucks like a bronco, slams my arm up against the side. So, it's bleeding again, and Cash starts yelling, tree. So me and LaPree just start lighting this fucking thing up. 50 cal and a saw.
Wow.
And branches are falling. Then finally the guy falls down. Get up to this corner, and there's just 100, 200 people cheering for us. And we just ran through an ambush and an RPG attack. And now we've got all these people cheering for us. And
wow,
I'm pissed because I know that Lorenzo was shot.
Okay.
And after what just happened, I'm like thinking I'm not taking any chances. And I'm looking out over this crowd, searching for enemy, and I'm thinking to myself, all you'd have to do is pull the trigger, and everybody's gonna like this, just kill them all, And in my mind, I'm like, that's what I want.
Sure,
that's what I wanted to do. I'm like, fuck them, but just that training and.
Well, it's discipline. It's a discipline that
it is.
That means discipline.
Yep.
Because how many times you want to haul off and beat the shit out of your squad leader that you probably could have? Like, we can all take him. We got him, but you don't, because it's discipline, and that's. That's what I hate to say it, but high and tights and all that every week, and it instills the discipline and intestinal fortitude. And I'm using all these key Army words, but it is, man. I hate to be cliche. It fucking is. And I had that same thing.
On the trigger, right? I didn't pull the trigger, and just we kept going. And later, it wasn't until years later that I'm so glad that I didn't.
Good.
Yeah. There's just there's no telling the weight that and I felt the weight before. Had my issues. Still do from time to time.
We all do.
Yeah. And so it's not easy. I don't care how little or how much you've gone through. It's just,
Sure.
you're going to feel it sooner or later. But I was able to save it for when it really counted.
When you need, because you're still had a long, quite a few hours to go. But as you're going through it, going through the night, you're in those firefights, things are going on. You got those lulls, and I remember those lulls. I remember some of my lulls. My lulls, a lot of the times, it wasn't really thinking of my family. I wasn't really like, oh my gosh, I'm going to die here. It was just, okay, I'm preparing for the next run. But I briefly thought one time I did, and this is where my family came in my head, and I just wanted to remember, did I tell them the last conversation I had, did I say I loved them? And I remembered that, and then they were out. I was like, yeah, I did. Okay, I don't need to think about them anymore. Let's just continue to prepare for the next go around, whenever the next round starts. But yeah, what was going through your head? Because I know people are like, it's not continuous. There are lulls. It's like a prize fighter. You're fighting, and then there's a lull, and then there's fighting, and then there's a lull.
Yep. And then, of course, at night, there wasn't hardly any firing, as opposed to the movie where they showed lots of firing, but there wasn't really any firing. I mean, you know how it is. They didn't have any night vision, so we weren't going to shoot and give away our positions.
Sure.
Just a smart thing to do, tactically. So the whole time we're just sitting there in the Humvees, and actually we were parked kind of near the Olympic Hotel where we had a mission before.
Okay.
And we're just sitting there, just listening to the radio, just trying to find out what's going on. You know what I'm saying? With, getting the pilots out of the, the pilots out of the helicopter, the fuselage. So, that's all we cared about, was that we're, looking for an enemy. And then at the same time, listening to the radio to find out, what's going on with our boys down the street.
Okay. And comes the morning time, we're getting through, morning time's coming. And did you know that the Pakistanis, that they had gotten them and they were rolling in, that they were letting you know?
Mm-hmm.
But was that accurately portrayed in the movie, that you thought they were coming earlier and it just took them forever to get to your positions? Like, it seemed like, if I remember the movie correctly, and then talking to some of the guys, but I've never really gotten a depth conversation about this, you guys thought they were coming at 2, and then it just kept dragging, and then eventually at daylight they got there. If that's the case, and that is accurate, how did you keep your motivation up, man? I mean, that just seems depressing.
They were out there. So I went out the first. It actually was the second convoy. So we brought back and then we went out the third convoy, and the third convoy I didn't have anybody in the back of my Humvee with me. And Weaver was the TC, Aaron Weaver. So you didn't know him, but
no, Aaron, that's his brother Ryan. Ryan Weaver's is Aaron Weaver. Aaron,
I don't think so. I don't think they're brothers. But Aaron and Strucker did Best Ranger together. Okay. So, and Aaron became a pilot later and ended up dying in a crash.
It sounds like it's Ryan Weaver's brother, because that's the story.
Ryan is a Black Hawk pilot, and he was on our show before, and he's a country singer now.
Okay.
Aaron said that Aaron was a pilot.
Yeah,
right?
Aaron, I knew that was Aaron. I didn't know Aaron was. Yeah, I didn't know you guys. No, okay. Wow, that's again small world.
So, holy shit! I was going to say, it really does tie into how you said even earlier that it's a small community.
Fuck yeah! Wow.
Oh yeah. So I'm in the back end, and I'm just like, we're waiting. So the Pakistanis and the 10th Mountain show up, and greatly appreciated. Them being there, helped us get out. But I mean, you know how it is. I mean, I'm friends with a lot of the 10th Mountain guys now, and always try to include them. And because they lost a couple guys that night. You know what I'm saying? And it just they put their asses on the line just like we did. I hate the back and forth because Hollywood didn't give them, any credit. And it just it sucks. And I mean, Rangers do fucked up shit, but during that night, one of the privates from one of these armored vehicles was shooting up aluminum rounds, and I'm like, what in the fuck? And shoots up another one. And then shoots up another one.
Why?
Every time they go out. He was just a private. He just wanted to see what was going on. You know what I'm saying? He just
but at that time, Tent didn't have night.
No, I don't know that they had night vision at all, but they just, it amazed me that the E6 in charge didn't come down and stop him from doing it. You know, I don't know and I don't know that he was getting word from somebody saying they needed light down there or something, but I was pissed, and man, I jumped out of the back of the Humvee, went over there, and I put my fucking barrel about 3 inches from his face, and I said, "You shoot another one of those things up again, and I'm going to fucking kill you." And then the C6 jumps out, and he's like, "What's going on?" And I fucking put the barrel in his face. I said, "If he shoots another one again, I'm going to kill him, and I'm going to fucking kill you." And he just didn't say anything, and I turned around and walked back to the Humvee. Right. But it is one of those things. I mean, in combat, you just never.
Well, no, you're
private. As a young private, you just and I hate to tell that story because I don't want anybody to think that that's how all these guys are. You know what I'm saying?
No,
because you know as well as I do, there's plenty of guys in the regular Army that could be Rangers if they wanted to.
Yeah,
you know, hard motherfuckers that you know. But
I don't think people take it that. I don't think our listeners. And I don't take it. Hey, we all. Holy shit! That's a stressful fucking situation. You're an E2, and I guarantee that motherfucker. Somebody that was their MO, man. That was their fucking their. What's the word? I'm drawing a blank, man. Holy shit! But that was somebody said, "Hey, do this," every so often, and that was their task condition is standard. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. And all my Army guys, you can make fun of me because I'm forgetting the fucking acronym right now. But
or SOP.
There you go, man. Fucking hey, holy shit! All right, pushing it. But and so it just that's war. That's why training is so fucking important. That's why the right training is so important. That's why doing it over and over and over again until you just are sick of it is so important, because when the shit hits the fan, you're going to revert to what that highest level of training is. And obviously, and that was that, but that's
we're all human.
That's part of it. Yep. Yeah. We all shit down our legs.
Yep. We're all human. So
yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, I was going to say, I know that Chris has to be out in about 5 minutes. I know you're kind of on a tighter schedule today. Sorry, we're but for the audience, I'll say we're stepping on each other a little bit because our connections are off. What were we saying?
Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead, Dale.
I don't know if we lost you there. Are you there, Dale?
Get back to the stadium, and it's the first time I've seen my squad since they left on those helicopters.
Do you hear me?
Hey, Dale, do that all over again, because our connections are getting.
Yeah, our connections.
We lost you on that whole thing.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay, so we get everybody back to the stadium, and it's the first time I've seen my squad since they left on the birds, earlier that day. So I mean, like I see Sergeant Elliott, and then I look over and I see them putting Smitty's body on the helicopter to take him out, and all I saw was one leg missing a boot. And that's what it was. Obviously they took the boot off for, circulation and trying to stop the bleeding. And then Sergeant Elliott was like, that's Smitty right there. And it was like right then I had tears running down my face. And I wasn't bawling or anything, but I just had tears running down my face, and just almost tears of joy that, hey, I'm finally back with my squad again. And then I remember the medics are running around. They're like grabbing anybody with wounds, putting them on helicopters and stuff. And they come up, and then, I mean, my whole arm is just that bandage we put on is just completely soaked, in blood. And the guy comes up and grabs me. He's like, "Come on, you got to go with us to the hospital." I'm like, "Fuck you, get the fuck off me." I'm fine. And so I tell Sergeant Watson, I'm like, "Sergeant Watson, tell this motherfucker to leave me alone, or I'm gonna fucking kill him." So he leaves, and it's like me and Kurth, I think, and Watson are like one of the last helicopters to leave the stadium. So we get off, and man, I just remember like my shit was so heavy at that point. I mean, I'm like dragging, my gear behind me, and the first thing I hear when I get back is I think Struzik came up to me, or Snodgrass, one of the two, and was like, "Hey, you heard about Reese, right?" I'm like, yeah, he got shot, and they put a chest tube in, they stabilized him, and he's like, no, dude, he's gone. And I mean, that friggin' hit me. And I mean, I was broken at that point. And I mean, I remember just bawling in my, on my cot, and started Watson coming over and, comforting me, and, it's going to be okay. And then that night, some Smallies were walking by the front gate and dropped this box right outside our front gate. So they call first squad up, and they're like, hey, you guys need to go out and secure this box. So Sergeant Elliott's like, all right, Sizemore, you're going to go pull security on far side of the road. Sergeant Elliott was going to run around, tie a rope to it, and we were going to pull it in, and then have, EOD come in and see what the fuck it was. It was the first time I was scared the whole time, because, I had everything. I had time to process everything, realize that, okay, we could actually die. And that's the first time it ever crossed my mind. So I just looked at Sergeant Elliott, and I'm like, hey, if it moves, I'm going to fucking kill it. And he's like, okay. So we're getting ready. We're at the gate, getting ready to, and these Smallies run back up, grab that box, and haul ass. So I think they just got scared. They saw some guys, some armed guards at the gate, and because they're Americans, they just dropped what they had and totook off.
Oh,
but
wow.
So I'm glad. But that right there, like, made it real for me. I was like, son of a bitch, which is why I have so much respect for, even you second bat guys.
Yeah, I know, because we
going out, sometimes a couple times a day, I mean, and I know a lot of guys from second bat. Like, we know a lot of the same guys, Voss and Finley.
Voss is he's one of my dude. He's a good buddy. We went through basic. The second time we went through basic. Yeah. We went through Voss. Anyway, we were in a weapons squad together, and then he was my AG when I was a machine gunner before we moved on to the line. That motherfucker, he's the one guy could run with him. We could run. I could run. Great. That motherfucker could run too. That some bitch could run.
So, I know you got to have Voss on because
Well, I got it, but and Ian, we're good, but I mean, I just wanted to make sure, as long as I'm off.
Okay, because I know you're short on time.
Yeah, I just got to get on a phone call at 1, so we're good. 1 my time, but Voss. The only reason I haven't reached out to him is because if he's still with BORTAC, I don't know if he could come on, and he's
a commander down in El Paso right now.
Well, if he's a commander, then fuck yeah, he can come on because he's the boss.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, see, I was saying we got a lot of guys that we still want to get that are just buddies that want. So we'll get and Ian. We'll get
Chris. Got to tell his story about Dannemora.
I know. Yep. We'll get him on. And oh man, Chris is we all did everything together the second time I was in basic. I skipped airborne because I didn't have to go to airborne again. I just had to go jump out of a plane once, and you're good. And then we went through RIP together again, and then we both went to second bat. We both were in 3rd platoon together.
So Chris, I'm working at a bar at ISU, and my counselor was like, "Hey,